welcome to the Kingdom Compass podcast, where we point you to the goods and bads of all things Disney. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Tennell, Griffey D-Pad, and with me as always, the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How are you doing tonight?
I am tired. I am sick. I am ready to take this little holiday break that we're about to take.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. This is gonna be an interesting one. We're recording this. I think this is the most in advance we've recorded something in a little while because it's gonna come out on I think Tuesday. Um,
Yeah,
I don't actually have plans. We just make this up as we go.
it'll probably come out this week. It makes sense. The movie just came out.
Mm-hmm. We've watched and recorded something in a while, but man, what did we watch this stuff late? We are talking today, folks, about Avatar: Fire and Ash, and kind of just about the Avatar franchise as a whole. We've said a lot of things about the Avatar franchise over the course of doing this podcast, and I think it's time we actually did an episode about it and addressed some of it. And
Yeah,
what better way to do that than seeing the new movie?
that's a good place I need to start. But before we get into that, are we going to get into what we've been up to?
We have, but before that, I got a rigmarole for you,
Oh yeah,
folks.
there's all that.
Yeah, there's other things to talk about on the show. Um, First off, hey folks, how's it going? Thank you for listening or watching. If you're watching, we got podcast versions of this show on podcast services all around the world. Just look up the Kingdom Compass podcast. If you're on podcast versions, hey, we got a YouTube version where we show our lovely faces, and do videos and have fun graphics and stuff. So go check those out. Subscribe either on podcast or on YouTube. Either way, give us 5-star reviews on podcasts or leave a comment and let us know what you thought of the film on YouTube. Of course, this is not the only show we do. We also have the weekly show. We were currently talking about 2 projects. Yes, that's right. 2 TV series at once. We are doing that. It's insane, I know. The first is broken up into 2 chunks. Our first initial review of the first 5 episodes of The Mighty Nine is available now. Random note, we don't normally care about views. This one's taking off for some reason. Shout out to
Right?
Critical Role. Um,
Love me some critters.
yeah. And then we are also doing episode by episode for Percy Jackson. However, based off what this come out, we're probably not doing it this week because of Christmas.
We'll catch up after the holidays once we're all able to kind of settle back into a routine.
With that said, we are going to start off with the segment, which will eventually have a name once we finally come up with a name. Mitch, to keep ourselves from talking about all the other stuff we've been watching, reviewing, whatever, what have you been watching, playing, or listening to?
I've actually been reading.
Ooh.
So I my family love them to bits. Mom's to not get rid of anything. So she had everything from when I was a kid. So one of those things that looked like it had never been touched was the color editions of A.A. Milne's Winnie the Pooh saga. So I have, when putting our son to bed, been reading him Winnie the Pooh. And I got to a chapter in that first Winnie the Pooh book tonight that really upset me. Because there is a chapter in one of these stories, I kid you not, where Rabbit, Piglet, and Pooh kidnap Roo from Kanga.
What?
Just out of the blue. Just like, yeah, Rabbit wants to get Kanga and Roo to leave the forest. So they kidnap Roo and use Piglet as a decoy in Roo's pouch, or in Kanga's pouch. And it was bizarre. Just absolutely bizarre. So like, I know they're not kids book, like they're kids books, but they're kids books from, back in the, early to mid 1900s. So like they're old, but it is definitely an object of the times.
I mean, I remember there being a story of like Piglet replacing Roo, but I didn't realize it was full.
Rabbit full on wanted to just kidnap Roo. Yeah. And you use Roo as leverage to get Kanga to leave the forest. Because Rabbit just doesn't like new people. And then really got to enjoy Roo's company. And then everything was fine. The chapter literally ends on, and everybody was happy. It was bizarre as hell. But it's kind of fun to revisit this kind of material, especially, in the wake of us having watched and reviewed, what was the name of the one with Ewan McGregor? Saving Christopher? No, that was a different one.
No, just Christopher Robin.
Just Christopher Robin, yeah.
Hmm.
Like in the wake of watching that and kind of understanding like as my son grows, he's going to get into some of these characters and some of these hijinks. Like the source material is kind of wacky, which I'm kind of all about because he doesn't understand any of it yet. He's like a year old, but I've definitely been enjoying going back and revisiting those.
Oh, I bet that sounds like a ball to go and see those again for the first time.
Mhm.
I think
The
for me.
second thing,
Oh yeah, go
I
on.
I got one last thing, and then it's all yours. One thing I don't know. I need to know this about America. Do y'all partake in the Terry's chocolate orange?
No,
Okay. Are you aware of what
I
a
am
Terry's chocolate
aware of
orange
what
is?
they are. I have never
Because
had
they,
one in my entire life.
because they are wonderful. I have one sitting here right next to me right now. It is a holiday tradition for me to just have one of these. So I ask you next week as visit the land of the free and the maple syrups that you have yourself a Terry's chocolate orange.
Bitch, tomorrow. I might be able to find one of these tomorrow. Realistically, probably not till the day after, because man, layovers suck. But
So for anyone that doesn't know, Terry's chocolate orange is essentially just a milk chocolate orange shaped thing. Tastes like orange, like it's orange flavored milk chocolate. And to break it into the individual wedges, the instructions on the box are actually to just slam it against a hard surface,
I do love that.
and it's a good time, and it's delicious.
I did see a TikTok the other day of someone being like, "No, yeah, you cut a Terry's chocolate orange."
That person is a psychopath
Well,
or a
it was
sociopath.
to mess with someone who had never had one before.
Yeah, you
So they're
don't do
going
that.
to cut
No,
down into it, and it just pops.
yeah, you don't do that. You smash it like a true Canadian slash Brit, because I think it's actually British in
It's British in
origin, but
origin, yeah.
we're British adjacent, so we get some of that stuff too. I'd say like you in terms of the global ranking of candies and chocolates, I think Canada is honestly number one because we have the good chocolate that we got imported or we assumed from the Brits, but then we also have a lot of like Canadian versions of American chocolates.
That's fair. I would
It's
put
like
you at
our
number
our
two.
Reese's are better, our Kit Kats are better, our Aero bars are better. Everything
I
is
mean,
just better.
your Aero bars are better because we don't have that in the U.S.
And you should because they're
We
great.
should. They're amazing. Again,
Fantastic chocolate bar.
a thing that we don't have in the U.S. and it genuinely upsets me.
Coffee Crisp is the goat
They're the
chocolate
best.
bar.
I would say you're number
Bar none.
two personally because I really like German chocolate.
German chocolate is definitely up there, but
Um,
it's not as readily available up here. I don't live near Epcot, so
no. I for what it's worth, I used to get it from like a random candy vendor back in Washington. So
yeah.
like, you really can't find things in random places. I'm gonna move on to my thing that I want to talk about because man,
Please.
I have been playing it, but I think you've been playing it too.
I've
Um,
just started to kind of dip my toe into it.
yeah, I try not to talk about video games like too much because like we're a Disney channel. It doesn't always make sense to talk about video games. But video games are gonna come up on a couple points in this because I actually have a video game to bring into this week's discussion. Um, but I finally beat Claire Obscura Expedition 33. For those that don't know, this is an RPG created by a group of developers called Sandfall Entertainment or Sandfall Interactive.
Interactive.
Sandfall Interactive. It has been sweeping the games industry lately. Um, it is a fantastic story of this beautiful world and grief, and I think it's actually going to fit very well with Fire and Ash. Kind of what do you do? What comes after? There's a couple of amazing things with it where it's like the two kind of main sayings for it is tomorrow comes and for those who come after. And I think that those two sayings are just beautiful in their own right, even outside of the game. Um,
Really makes you think.
the game itself though is fantastic. There's a caveat to that though that I've recently learned that I'm like just irks me is that there is generative AI in the game. Used
So
for some of the
my
filler
understanding is
content.
there was and they patched it out.
It's still there.
It's still there. Okay.
I think they might be working to patch it out. I don't know. They use it for some like the filler content, like posters you see on the walls or whatnot. It's something I don't like because I don't like seeing generative AI art in anything. Um, But even with that aside, I do think that this is still an incredibly beautiful game. Um, it's worth it at the very least to like look it up online or watch or listen to some of the music from it. It's one of those things that genuinely has me rethinking my own creativity and my own storytelling in my work that I do, whether that be my actual job or even some of the stuff we do here. Like, it's got me rethinking everything right now just because of how quality it all is and how the performances are and the writing and the combat, all of it. It's such a well done package altogether.
Yeah. So it does look like they have confirmed through, because it was the Indie Game Awards that rescinded the awards that they had awarded to Claire Obscure. They had a stance on generative AI and use in games, and that disqualified it from the categories.
Friends of the show, by
and the friends of the show, fantastic folks. While the developer did confirm the assets had been patched out, so you and I have both played it without these assets being in the game. The fact that they were there at all is what disqualified them from those awards.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't be to begin with. This has been a conversation we had last week in a very good episode that I'm like 90% sure YouTube is just like killing.
I mean, they just don't like us. I get it.
It's the thing where it's like, again, we don't care about views,
God, no.
but it's one of those things where it's like, you don't normally see a 0 view YouTube video.
I mean, yeah, you do.
I haven't seen it on our channel in a while. We get at least normally one or two.
It's fine.
Someone curious clicks on the stupid thing and says he's two weirdos talking about shit.
Yeah, it happens.
But yeah, there's so many other fantastic and wonderful mediums out there, and I'm sure we will have plenty to talk about after the holiday. But Mitch, let's talk about Avatar: Fire and Ash, released on December 19th, 2025. The runtime of 197 minutes. That's right, this film is 3.5 hours long.
And it's about an hour and a half too long.
Yeah, someone needs to stop this man.
The thing is, I don't think it's too long, but I do think that there's like what's in there is quality. Like, I don't think there's anything that like is inherently storyline.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. All right.
Budget of over $400 million is coming in at one of the most expensive films ever made. Coming in at number 6. In case you are curious, some of the others at the top there. Number 1 being Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Number 2 and 3 falling to the Jurassic World franchise. Number 4 being The Force Awakens. Number 5 being Deadpool and Wolverine. And then weirdly enough, number 7 is Fast X.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me in the slightest because you have to pay the inflated salaries of Vin Diesel, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, etc.
And if you look at a lot of these fall under the Disney umbrella, and most of them making their money back in some regard. But Avatar: The Way of Water cost about $350 million, falling down to number 13 on this list. Of course, directed and screenplay partially by James Cameron, starring Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, Kate Winslet, and Una Chaplin. Mitch, we've talked a lot of shit about Avatar.
We have.
And I feel like I stand by every single little bit of shit talking we've talked about Avatar.
I do not. After last night.
That said, I still very much enjoy going to these movies.
Yeah, so this is my first Avatar in theater experience.
Oh wow!
Just to put this into context. Yeah, I never saw 2009's Avatar or 2017's The Way of Water. No, 2023. When the hell did the last movie come out?
It was 2022.
2022. Sorry.
Avatar was 2009.
Yeah, 2009 for the first one, then 22 for Way of Water. Yeah, just never got around to either of those in theaters because I was that kid, snobby, whatever you want to say. I'm just like, oh, I'm counterculture. I'm not going to go see the thing that is so popular with everybody, and 3D is such a gimmick, blah, 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 blah. I saw this at a proper IMAX theater in 3 dimensions, and I kind of wish I'd seen it in 4DX and gotten the water effects and the motion and all that jazz. But this is the way this movie was meant to be seen, and James Cameron has created something that blurs it takes technical computer generated film to the furthest extent I've ever seen. I don't know if I can watch another Marvel movie after having seen this in theaters in IMAX 3D.
Oh, I think I can. I think this. I think that James Cameron's like the reason to go see Avatar is the CG.
It's the visuals, it's the cinematography, it's the
It's
colors,
been there
it's
since day
the
one. Like
palettes. It's amazing.
the only reason that I actually was interested in The Way of Water, um, before realizing I did not realize until seeing this movie that The Way of Water was part one, Fire and Ash was part two.
Yeah.
But like most of my interest for The Way of Water was how they were doing CG, particularly and it plays here in Fire and Ash as well. All of the underwater scenes. Having people underwater in full mocap suits, how are you handling that? How are you filming that? And I think that James Cameron has forced his storytelling to um, further the medium of CGI in such amazing and interesting ways. And that is always the thing of I will always respect him for that.
Yeah.
Outside of
Yeah,
the images, though,
even
like, it's very hit or
I mean,
miss for me.
so I was. I mean, we've talked about it a few times on the show. I've always been a skeptic of these films. The first, largely because it's just a retelling of the story. I mean, it's a very classic film trope of colonizers come in to colonize, native population fights back, colonizer sympathizes with natives, and
Yeah, I don't think these
you're off to the
movies do
races.
anything unique, but they do have an interesting overall
I
story.
was going to say, it's not that they're doing anything unique or novel, but they're using these classic storytelling tropes because they work wonderfully within the, like, he's basically able to take what is a classic, like a classical narrative and wrap it in the technology that he's using to push forward the medium in general, which is honestly a feat in itself. Because here again, this is a film about grief. This is a film about independence, about found family. This is a film about breaking down patriarchal society and like societal norms and growth and maturity and growing within your
See, I
community and
see it.
growing to lead.
Like
Like there's a
I
lot to
agree
really
that
like
those
here.
themes are there. I just don't think they're there that much. I think that
They're
this.
there.
I think it has the themes, and then it sets those themes aside to be have fun action sequences. And it was like,
Yeah.
hey, we might come back to some of this, and then
They're
they come
they're
back to about
there.
half of it.
They're there, but there are in this film there are two characters or three characters that I care about at all. And even that might be a bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
Like
that's
there
where I
isn't a
really
lot.
struggle with these films between all three, where it's like I have in this movie there are three characters I care about, and I think there's three characters not even care about. There are three characters that I find their plots interesting.
Yes.
One of them being Kiri. I think that her
Curie
overall
stuff is really
narrative is
neat.
interesting. I think it's largely because I like Sigourney Weaver.
Let me see if our characters line up because
Okay.
Curie was one of mine. Spider.
I hate Spider.
I love Spider-Man.
I hate his character.
And Stephen Lang's character because Stephen Lang can do no wrong.
I hate his character as well.
But you're
Um,
supposed to hate his character. Like that's okay. Who
I,
are you? What
no, I
where
like
are
I
you? Where
love
are you
Kiri.
vibing?
I love Neytiri. Zoe Saldana.
See, I don't.
I liked her. I liked having to watching this character grieve. It sounds so horrible to say. I liked watching this character go through grief in these ways, and like, where is she with her family, and like, what's she doing with Jake and whatnot. And then I really, really liked Varang for the first half of this movie.
See,
Um,
there's some there are interesting elements to Varang's story, but I think part of what made me like that character was her interactions with Stephen Lang's
see,
character, who I'm going to go
the
get the
minute
name
that
of
she
because
started interacting with Stephen Lang, like, that's not true. The minute that she starts
Porridge.
flirting and they start getting it
They
on,
fuck. They fuck. Yeah,
that's when I
straight up.
think her character gets ruined in this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's very interesting to that point.
Una
And
Chaplin does some
I
fantastic work in all of this. I do want to give her the shout out. I think she's
mhm.
my favorite. She's my favorite performance in this. Actually, no, second. Sigourney Weaver is just amazing.
Sigourney Weaver is just phenomenal.
But even then, I'm like, even these characters that I like, I could not tell you a single one of their names. The only reason
I
that I'm
do.
able to have their names is because I have the IMDb up.
I do also vibe with Loak. I think his story of the grief around his brother, the guilt that he feels, and the found brother in this lone wolf outcast Payakon. Did I get that? Payakon sounds right.
Payakon, yeah.
Yeah, look at me go. The outcast Tulkun. I'm nailing it, man. I think the most interesting thing about Varang as a character is this is the first time that we've seen antagonistic Navi. Like she is literally a radicalized atheist, which I think is a really interesting thing to bring into this world where everything is all about the Earth Mother and all of this
See, I
stuff.
love it, and also it really frustrates me. I think that this movie franchise, maybe it's on purpose, likely it's not, plays into a lot of religious tropes.
I
Um,
mean, I think that's just the type of classical narrative that
and I
James Cameron
don't
likes to
love
draw
the
inspiration
trope
from.
of that person is not following the religion and thus is evil. And they very much are starting to play with that with her. And with that bit, I don't like. But
They
with
are,
then
but
you get
also
into
the
if I can finish because
yeah, sorry,
I
yeah,
promise
yeah.
I'm getting there.
Mm.
But when they actually break her down and start talking about her character and why she doesn't, that's what it always comes down to with these. And so many of these movies never tell us the why.
No.
Getting the why of like her having her praying to Yahweh, or I was about to say Yahweh, and that's not correct. Yahweh is God.
Awa,
Awa.
Awa.
Um,
I'm killing it on the name stem, man. I don't know how I'm
you're
doing
gonna be
this
the
on
one
like
because
three,
I'm not going
I
to
don't know
remember
how I'm doing
anything.
this on like 3 hours of sleep.
Um, and
That's the
like
other
her
thing. We
not
both
coming
saw
in
this
stuff.
after 10 p.m. like lunatics.
For me, it's yeah. Well, we should talk about that too. For
This
me,
is my third
it's
coffee of the day, and it's 9 o'clock. I know.
that's not even the coffee that I have sitting over there waiting for me.
Oh
Um,
Lord.
no, but like her character, her backstory, I very much like it. It was like, oh, you're leading into something that actually is an incredibly interesting thing, and that's my thing for a lot of those movies. You're leading into interesting things, and then you take the safe route. I think that having seen all three of these now, this was my least favorite of the three Avatar films.
I'm in the opposite boat. I think this is my favorite of the three.
See, I think my favorite's still the first. I think this rehashes a lot of the same points for the first two movies. My
Well,
my issue with the second one being it's functionally the exact same story as the first movie. Um, knowing now that it's part one, it's like okay, makes more sense. But
yeah, I think what I enjoyed the most about the story here is really it is Loak and Payakan's story. And then the other thing is the fact that our MacGuffin is no longer unobtainium or brain goo.
no, but it follows the trope that we have fought against many times. So let's make the MacGuffin a person.
Yes, but I think in this case, the MacGuffin is less a person and it is more so Curie's ability to interact with Awa in such a
Oh,
way that
you think Curie's the MacGuffin? I don't think Curie's the MacGuffin.
no, Curie's not the so here Spider is the MacGuffin, but at the end of this story, Curie is like this. Jake Sully has been the main character of these first three films. This series is not about Jake Sully.
No, it's about his family.
It's not. It's about Curie. No, Curie is the main character of this story going forward. And if it's
Oh, I
not, then
agree.
they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I think that's what that last scene was kind of getting
Well, I
into.
think the next two movies is probably a time jump ahead,
Again, if
and
we
we're
get
doing
them.
different things completely. Yeah.
Um, that's kind of the interesting thing for me is a lot of them feel like they have in mind two more sequels to have these three overarching stories for Avatar.
Yeah. Because James Cameron
But
planned three movies. He clearly split the second movie into two movies because it was going to be an 8 hour movie that no one would sit through in theaters.
again, this fucker should just make a series and call it good. Come on, man.
Yeah, but no one's going to fund a $900,000 TV
Yeah,
series.
this is a series creator stuck in movies, and I stand
Yeah.
by that.
But he needs the budget of Hollywood to be able to produce what it is he's trying to do to drive the medium forward. So
Look,
I don't mind it in that respect.
yeah, I think the way he does it is bad. If I'm being very honest, I do not like the way he does it with these films. I do not think these movies need to be 3.5 hours long.
No.
I think you are very honestly. I think you are telling too many stories in a
Well,
single
even
movie.
like this was the Wind Traders. That whole scene of them like flying in and floating
The
in and
entire
leaving. I'm just
existence
like,
of the Wind
you did,
Traders was just to introduce the Ash people. That is the only reason.
yeah. And that scene didn't need to be like 35, 40 minutes long.
And I genuinely think this guy gets so in his duffy about like, oh, I'm gonna make all of these things and whatnot. And with that, he has created this beautiful world that, if we're being honest, he did not add much to in this movie. Most of the addition in this movie was the Ash people. We got like one scene in their area, which would have been so cool to see more of that get fleshed out. But anything else was already in.
I don't think we needed to see more. I think less is more at that point. I'm equating it a little bit to the
Well, for
Elephant Graveyard in Lion King, where you don't need to see much of it. You just get enough of
well,
it
I don't
to
need to see
understand the
more. I don't
foreboding
necessarily
nature
need
of
to
it.
see more of it, but I want to know more about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think
Which
where Avatar has very much thrived for me is I love the world.
the world building, yeah.
I love Pandora. I love the different tribes. I don't care about the Sully family. I think for
Yeah.
me, to get me to care about a movie, and I have tried so many times with Avatar. I actually really like the first movie, but the overarching narrative, right, of these people versus a corporatized military, and even then, you start to see the corporation versus the military kind of start to fall apart in this movie. Um, I think that's all very unique, or not even unique. I think that's very interesting and very fun. And I think that this world itself is incredibly unique with its different biomes and peoples and whatnot. It feels very fleshed out in a way that I haven't seen, frankly, since Lord of the Rings.
I was gonna say Star Wars, but yeah.
Even Star Wars isn't that fleshed out. Like Star Wars, I love it, but you don't have Star Wars. You start coming together piecemeal throughout its existence. This is there was a lore doc that he
Yeah.
wrote before any of this started.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I do really love that about it. But for me to get me to care about a movie, about any story, I have to fall in love with the characters. Take something like, it's not a good example for me because of how much I love Critical Role, but I'm just going to use Mighty Nine as an example here because it's the other thing we've been talking about lately.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, take something like Mighty Nine, and I know every character and their interactions with each other, and I have fallen in love with those characters because they have their unique interactions, and that being the key word there, unique. I feel like so much of these characters rehash the same things over and over and over again. Like, yeah, Loak has these amazing moments, but he kind of is stuck in the same "I want my father's approval" storyline for the entire movie, in a way of, I need more character growth from this early on, and I need this to be more interesting. I think they skipped out on one of the most interesting possible things they could have done in this entire movie. And I think we got to talk spoilers about it to get there.
Oh, I figured we're already full spoilers at this point.
Mm-hmm. I wish they killed Spider.
I'm glad they didn't, because I do think this human Navi hybrid thing is going to be very interesting as the plot evolves. And again, I think for Kiri, the loss of Spider after more years spent together is going to hit harder emotionally, and I think will drive towards the I assume that the penultimate episode of this, the fourth film, will lead to some shenanigans that will really set Kiri up to kind of go full blown druid earth interaction, crazy magic stuff.
Yeah, I know it certainly sounds like sacrilege to a lot of the fans that actually like this character. I don't like Spider. I think the writing for Spider, and frankly the dialogue for most of this movie is god awful.
It's not great.
Spiders is easily the worst though. The amount of people that this kid calls butthole, it feels like I'm watching an 80s comedy movie.
Yeah.
But no, genuinely, when they had that moment of, no, he can breathe now. We cannot protect him. I was like, oh, this is
It took a dark twist there, and
I felt emotions in this moment, not the emotions they wanted me to feel of, oh no, this is sad, but it was, oh, you're going to kill this kid, and you're going to have to grapple with that, and grapple with that beast within you, and the fact that you guys did this for the rest of this movie and rest of this franchise, and have to deal with that and how that changes the dynamics of your family and your clan. And I was like, oh, that is so interesting. And
It
then
is,
nope.
which is the reason I do not like Zoe Saldana has been the highlight of this series up to this point until this film. Because I do think that the way that that character just does an about face on, oh no, we shouldn't kill Spider, and starts running through the forest, and then says nothing when she gets there, when we have this very human moment between Sully and Spider, when they both acknowledge, like, yeah, this has to happen. So I forgive you, like, do what you got to do. This whole Cain and Abel type situation, again, very biblical in nature. And that whole scene is phenomenal until you just throw Neytiri into it, and nothing really comes of that. And I don't love that they, like, it's not talked about, it's not acknowledged, and I think that is
See, I think it's
probably not a fault of the film, because I do think it's just the a fault of these characters is they internalize so much, and they actually, like, they talk about it. Like Sully has this whole narration where he's like, I threw myself into my work and all this stuff and trying to survive, and just neglected mourning,
but that's the
and
thing
they
is
just
he
continue to
doesn't
do that
have
through the
he
whole
doesn't
movie.
it's not his voiceover. It's Loak's voiceover.
Or Loax, yeah.
And that's another one of those things where it's like Loak is another example for me of so close to being like something I really enjoy, but it just doesn't quite go far enough for me. Where it's like, oh, you could have had these interesting stories. You could have had him saving someone, doing something interesting. Yeah, we get his moment with him and his dad at the end. I'm like, that's fun. The action, all fun in this movie. But it's like none of these characters, with the exceptions of the ones I mentioned, of like Kiri, or well, really just Kiri, because I do agree that Neytiri's character isn't always the best in this. I just
No.
really liked watching her in that grieving process. I thought that was very, very well
Oh,
acted.
oh yeah, that was very
Um,
cool. But like,
but like outside
it's
of
also we
Kiri,
have.
there is no one that goes through character development in such a way that I feel has a satisfying ending. I know I mentioned it
I
a little bit with like Varang, but like Varang's character development genuinely pisses me off.
Yeah, it definitely took a step backwards, because like, in what universe is this radicalized um
You have
character
this
going to just be like, yeah,
badass
corporate machine and all this stuff, like, this
who's
is where I want to
very
hang out,
frankly
like,
is the coolest looking Navi we have seen in this franchise.
100%.
Um, like you
Apart
have
from
it,
maybe
but like what she ends
Neytiri's
up getting
mom.
pulled into is the corporate um corporation taking over and forcing a tribe to fit within their standards. And
Yeah,
it could have been an interesting story, but it just
but all it
isn't because they
was
don't
we
do it.
gave fire people guns.
Yeah, and that's my problem with so much of this is where it's like that. I don't like Quaritch as a character in general anymore.
See, I really do. I really like. I've loved Stephen Lang's performance
I
through
love his
this series.
performance. I don't like his character.
Well, you're not. I mean, you're not supposed to like his character, but he has moments where he is genuinely, you know, he genuinely cares for Spider, and he has that moment with him where he talks about Spider's mom, where like he seems to have generally cared about her. And then that whole climax, which honestly, like, shout out to James Cameron and whoever designed that whole final,
That final
electromagnetic
electromagnetic
funnel
fire
tornado thing,
craziness.
that was freaking awesome. That was so cool. And he has that moment of just like, well, deuces. And he's definitely still alive, because you don't kill off that character
Well,
in
it's
that
also the
way.
thing of you're not dead until you see a body.
Well, and that was it.
Um,
So for context, and I think you did the same either before or after the film. Like,
I did after.
I literally sat down yesterday before this movie and watched 8 hours of Avatar. So even in the second movie, when douchebag whale farmer loses an arm and gets thrown off a boat, I'm like, oh, he's definitely gonna be in the next movie.
He's
And then he shows up with a
not
robot arm. Of
anymore.
course he does. Well,
He's
not after
real
this.
dead
No,
this time.
he's super
Um,
dead this time.
now for me with
And
Quaritch,
shout out to Jermaine Clement for just like no longer having to be a dick.
yeah, really. Yeah, with Quaritch, I think for me it's if you're going to if you are going to send this character down this redemption story path that they seem to be doing, right?
They are
Like
going
that,
to do that. They are going to continue
you
down this
have to
informed.
have him have some redeemable aspects. And I think the only thing in him that is in any sort of way potentially redeemable is the fact that he cares about Spider. But then he
Yeah.
really only cares about Spider because he's potentially his DNA Or I guess I think that's officially his DNA. I don't actually remember.
But no, like
We know it's
Spider's
his
his
son,
son.
right? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't remember if that was
yeah, yeah.
like we did.
No, it's
But even
confirmed. It was in
then,
a comic book somewhere or something, and then they brought it into the films.
but like that's not enough for me because
No,
the
but I
only reason he
also
cares is because of blood relation, which is not enough. And I was like, I
no.
really would wanted in this movie to give us the reason to root for this character's redemption.
I
And they
do
just
get a
didn't.
little bit. I do get a little bit of that between him and Sully. Like, yes, they're yin and yang when it comes to the series, but it almost feels like Dom Toretto, um, Brian
Yeah, tell me Brian's last name.
something. It starts with a W.
It does not start with a W. It starts with a G.
I got nothing
It's
for you.
Brian Gilbert.
What?
I think. I'm looking it up.
I need to know this now.
Fast and Furious, Brian. Oh, Brian O'Connor. I feel stupid for that.
O'Connor. Yeah. Okay.
I was still.
not
You were
close.
still W.
Yeah, I wasn't close
Well,
at all.
actually, no. That was close to Paul Walker. So.
Yeah, well, Vin Diesel and Paul Walker in the Fast and Furious franchise, where they started off as antagonists, like they started off protagonist, antagonist, and then over time that relationship changed. And I do think that because they have as much track as they do with these movies, we are going to see the redemption of Quaritch by the end, where he sacrifices himself to save Spider or Sully or combination of the two.
Look,
and I hope it feels I hope it feels earned when we get there.
Yeah, I want to see it. I want it to be earned. It just doesn't feel like they'll get there for me. They have to do some major changes for him.
They probably won't, but it'll still be a pretty enough film that will forgive some of those shortcomings.
I can see it. I can see it getting there. I do think where Quaritch is left at the end of this film is interesting.
Because Varang's still around.
Without his corporation, without his army, without any power at all. And I'm like,
he's going to have to Rambo in the jungle and find his way and do all this stuff. It's going to be really interesting to follow.
For me, yeah, looking through all of this, I'm like, I just don't care. And I know that's a B problem. I really am trying.
No, I think other people also feel the same way.
I want to talk about a couple other things that I do want to give this movie its props because there are some really great things in this movie. It's the writing. The writing, I think, is what kills me.
It's tough.
Dialogue is just bad. And there are reasons for it. There, like, you can make logical sense out of it. I've been really struggling with, like, what do I think about this film?
I do love that they have this moment, like, what was it, Red October, where Sully's doing the voiceovers. Like, over time, it just started to sound like English, and then all the Na'vi was just English. So I just assumed anytime they were talking in English, that it was actually Na'vi, and no one else would understand any of it.
That's kind of what I assumed as well.
Which I kind of like. Again,
the other one
well-worn film tropes brought into this really colorful world.
The idea that I saw was, because like I said, I've been struggling because I've been listening and reading some other reviews of this and whatnot. And I was listening to Kind of Funny's review on this, and the assumption was like, yeah, this one dude speaking English and making his kids all learn it. I was like, okay, I could see that, how that making sense. Even then, any of it is your own buy-in on the world of itself. It's not a story official reason. Even still, though, like, just the dialogue is rough all around the board. Someone's got to teach these guys that there's more fonts than papyrus for subtitles.
I kind of love that they stick to that, though.
I mean, I do respect it as a creative decision.
But also just like I don't love the trope of bad guy group is just going to scalp people, like, because that's literally like when they're cutting off the Avatar tail things. I'm just like, that's just cruel.
That's cruel, but it was also interesting to me until they were like, oh yeah, we're scalping everyone and yada yada yada. Like her, like checking name, like Varang doing her thing where she like forces you to connect and then
the mind meld thing.
I was like, that was so cool. I love that. That is so unique.
Especially when Kiri turns that back around on her. That was the
it terrifies her. Like it's awesome.
Yeah.
But the way they wrote the story was just making them your functional mindless savage. And I feel like that's where I come down on a lot of this, and that's a lot of why I don't like Quaritch, is it feels like we're going back to a lot of these tropes from the 70s and 80s action movies.
Mm, yeah.
Like Quaritch is horribly sexist, horribly misogynistic, all around just an asshole in those regards. And for me, that is a non-starter of I'm not rooting for this character. And it's not just him. Like everyone in that military is like that, except for the scientists that are like, no, stop killing things. And most of them leave.
Which they revisit again here with Jermaine Clement's character. I'm just like, no, I'm going to help the dude in that one scene and then just disappear on this ship and presumably get killed when everything explodes.
That man's dead, right? There's no way that man survived.
They will find a way because they always do. We didn't see a body. Everything explodes,
wrong, I'm sure,
but we didn't see a body.
I'm sure in number 4, he's like at the lab with everyone else.
He's at the base in the mountains with the other
ran off into the forest by himself as a human. That man is dead.
Yeah. I love the idea of we'll just get a short of him getting in one of those crab submarines and just yeeting himself as far away from this whole conflict as he could. But
the other thing for me that I wanted to ask, because
I wanted to say one thing that I did not like at all is Kate Winslet.
Interesting.
That whole arc, I'm just like, yeah, some of the back and forth between Tyrion and Ronal is quippy.
Is the
wife of the chief.
Yeah, fair. I didn't love.
Which, like, I get it. Okay, you're going into labor. Okay, I will protect you. Now push, and she's shooting her bow and arrow. Like the visuals and the consequences, like the situation they're in is interesting because we haven't really. I can't think of another instance where we've seen something like that. But it's just like nothing about her time with any of this feels earned because it's just the whole time she's like, no, we can't. We have.
She's not much of a character.
But she was more of a character in the second one. She's very critical to whether, like, she's very antagonistic to bringing them in and welcoming them in. And that just continues right up until the end. She's like, fuck you, but, deliver my baby and keep it alive.
That's, again, like the issues I have. She's one note.
Yeah.
She has one bit, and that's it. And I think that's kind of just where, when you have this many characters, that's where you're at. How'd you feel with the CG on this one?
Again, I do not see films in 3D. The last 2 films I've seen in theater, I've seen in 3D.
You did 3D. I just did Dolby.
I did IMAX 3D specifically. Yeah. That's the only way I should have seen this movie because it is.
I'm wondering
incredible.
If that might have made my experience better because it was incredible, gorgeous. But there were moments in it where it would be like, oh, the lighting is very clearly off on that person.
Oh, see, with the IMAX mix, at least where I was in a great seat. Somehow there was one good seat.
And I'm not the only one that saw this. I was chatting with another friend who had seen it where it was like, oh, it feels like for this particular moment, we just kind of quickly jumped into video game CGI pre-rendered thing, and now we're back into the movie.
I do know they played a bit with frame rate, and that might have varied format to format.
Well,
that might have been part of it.
Moments where I'm looking at it, I'm like, the light is not rendering on your arm.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm incredibly critical of CG. It's like my entire freaking life.
Nothing about the animation or the transitions, even the transition between daytime and eclipse, which I love that whole motif of like, there's not a sunset, but they get it. Like the night is eclipse. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
And just the way the little
say that in the movie because I totally missed them actually saying that if they did.
They said a few times the eclipse is coming, and then it gets dark, and then that's nighttime, and then we get the.
I missed every single time they said it, so suddenly it was just eclipse, and I was like, "What is happening?"
Okay, that's their nighttime on their planet. I think it's probably come up in the previous films as well. I don't remember it. Again, I watched all 3 in the span of like 12 hours. It all kind of blurs together. But I love like that transition. Like I always worry about nighttime scenes with 3D specifically because I find it bleeds. I find it the color balance is just off. None of that missed here. I was enthralled. I was in it. Again, I saw this at 10:30, which means the movie ended at 2 a.m. I left the theater at 2 in the goddamn morning, but I was in it from the get. And maybe that was because it was previewed with 4 minutes of The Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's next film, which, goddamn, I gotta see that thing in IMAX.
Dude, I'm at a point where I'm like, I should have seen this in IMAX. because of that. I wish I had. I didn't realize. I
I
didn't
mean,
forgot that was a thing. Obviously, we got the
do you?
Doomsday teaser,
Yes,
and
which
that's
I'm
cool.
sure we're going to talk about in a couple weeks when
Future
we have
episode.
all of the whole blowout. Probably we'll do a Super Bowl episode because there's going to be stuff there as well for Marvel, Disney related, I'd assume.
Yeah. Um, gonna pause my recording really quickly and come back in just a second.
Take your time, because I'm also just
You're good.
doing a thing where I
You're
want to
back.
know.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
sure
we're
why
back.
that was being the way it was, but OBS is being weird. Sorry, folks. Um,
Is what it is.
it's gonna give.
So
Oh yeah,
I think the
I
other
want to
thing
give this
too
movie its
is,
props. Um,
yeah.
music.
So I mean, I'm very lucky with where we are. Like we have two proper IMAX films in the Greater Toronto area. One that is the flagship that is 70 millimeter laser. The one I went to is just a laser theater, and it was again one of the best film viewing experiences I've ever had.
And we're back because my computer will not stop blowing up.
We need to get me those assets so I can do it on mine.
Really, we do. Um,
Just throw them in the drive before you go away if you have a minute, and I'll do it while
yeah,
we're
that requires
on
me to
break.
zip drive thing or
Yeah,
files
never
and
mind, it's
things.
fine.
But no, I want to give this movie its props, and then I want to talk about two other things. One being the marketing beats for this, and two being just my general theater experience because it was batshit crazy. Um, but props for this. Yeah, the CG, despite like those moments that I mentioned that were like kind of like weird, utterly gorgeous. I think not for the action, but for just how believable this world is. Um, it's at a point where it's like this is what I expect out of James Cameron from now on. Um, and it's very very impressive to even get there. So just I want to shout that out. Um, the other thing I want to shout out in terms of like giving this movie's props is set pieces. It set pieces look dope. I couldn't tell you a single thing happening in most of the war stuff, but man, was it fun and I was having a good time.
I mean, we talked about the whole fire magnet vortex thing. Like there were a few times where they dwelled on something just a little too long. Like, oh, you're trying to make sure the audience knows this was a thing. Like with Loax comms, with the magnet volcano vortex thingy, with a few other, quote unquote MacGuffins. So that was kind of again, well-worn film tropes. So I can't really fault it for it, but it did feel familiar in those aspects.
Yeah, and then the thing I want to give a shout out to that I will always give Avatar its props to is the music.
Oh my God, yeah.
If you could look up the composer for me, Mitch, because I have my notes gone because
Your computer
minimal
exploded.
things
Got it.
on computer at this point. Um, like all the Avatar movies have had amazing music. That theme is iconic at this point.
So composed by Simon Franklin. Obviously, he's worked. He was not the original composer on Avatar. He was in the music department, but he has worked with James Cameron repeatedly, composing The Way of Water. Also composed The Magnificent Seven.
Ooh, good movie.
And we'll be composing both Avatar 4 and 5 with
Yeah, I
Jim.
find it very interesting that they keep saying if on that. Like they keep saying if these make enough money, because this movie did cost a lot to make, which means that that Disney has an internal number where they're like, this movie needs to make this much money for us to be willing to greenlight more sequels. I don't know.
I
If it hits
wonder.
it.
I wonder if it's. I wonder if it's based on this movie or if it's production cost on 2 and 3, because I would assume, because of the way James Cameron talked about this as a trilogy, that films 4 and 5 will be the same part 1, part 2 that we saw with Way of Water into Fire
I
and
would
Ash.
assume. I think that's a safe assumption. But again,
And with
3 and 4
that
have
assumption in
separate.
place, I would assume that when they're looking at the production cost for those two films together of roughly, 850, $900 million, if those two films can each gross $1 billion, you're still looking at a 2.0 ROI, return on investment.
Yeah, and that
So
but honestly, we're at a point
I don't know if that
where
hits
that might not be
Disney's
enough.
metrics, but exactly. It depends on where
Um,
Disney feels like it had to hit to
or
be
more
able to
importantly,
greenlight those
does
next
this
movies.
movie hit it? Like I agree with you. I think this movie's gonna hit a bill. It's already hitting 134 million, and we are on literally day 2 of this movie being out.
Yeah, we'll know more as we get. Like it's funny. We're filming this
But
as soon, or we're recording this when where we don't have really good box office numbers to this point.
I
Normally,
do
we're like a
very,
week in and we have a better idea.
I very very much question though if they will hit that number. not because of this movie and the success of this movie, but because have to assume that that number is so astronomically high for how much these movies cost to make.
The thing is, I think we have to also look at it as they're not just greenlighting 2 more films in this franchise, but they're also planning another Avatar land in California as part of the Disneyland Forward move or innovations they're adding to the California parks. So I do think we're at a point
But we
where
know what that's going to be
Disney's
based off of already. We know
it's going to
that
be based off the Way of Water, but
yeah.
you want to keep Avatar in the zeitgeist. Like these 3 films,
They don't care about that.
love them or hate them for their faults, they are still cultural. They have cultural significance. Like these are tentpole films in 20th century or 21st century cinema.
I'd see for me, well, it's like especially bringing like Parks argument and whatnot. I don't think Disney cares on that regard. I think they largely care of will the money be worth it, and I think it will be. I don't think that's an issue. I just am wondering Disney at the corporation level, right, expects a number that is incredibly unattainable, is a tried and true story at the moment for all industries. So I could very much see them being like, no.
Yes, but I think a big part of this as well is if we look at the films that are coming out the rest of the year, you've got Anaconda, Song Sung Blue, Marty Supreme. I don't think any of those are going to set the box office ablaze. Looking at the first, let's say, month or 2 months of 2026, you've got the next 28 years later film, Silent Hill,
Well, yeah,
and no one's going to
like
care about.
looking at the movies out right now, you mentioned the ones coming. But the ones that are already out, where I'm looking at those and I'm like, okay, Zootopia 2 is going to be getting a bunch of kids in.
It's going to continue to roll.
Wicked is still going to continue to roll. Five Nights at Freddy's is probably going to drop off. A new SpongeBob movie just came out. Those typically do fairly well.
But
other than
I don't see a lot. I don't see a lot
coming
coming that could potentially like surpass Avatar. I think they picked a very good time to release this. There isn't a lot.
I am not worried about this film making money. I think this film is going to make money. My concern is what is corporate expectations versus reality.
Yeah.
Which are never aligned.
Well, because you also have to assume that the next, like these 2 films, it will probably cost north of $1 billion to make these next 2 films combined.
I would expect more. I think every one of these films has cost more and more and more for the Avatar franchise.
Yes, but I do think that there's also an aspect of this where they've driven the technology to a point where they don't have to do as much R&D on these next 2 films.
You would say that, but
I know James Cameron will still try to push that and push that budget, but there may not be as much that needs to happen depending on when they're able to start
R&D for this new one, and it still cost more.
Well, the water stuff was,
but that was in the production cost of Way of Water.
Of both.
No, just Way of Water.
They were co-produced though.
They're co-produced, but they were 2 separate budgets.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing on this, is the R&D cost all goes into that first one. And then the back end costs of a lot of the like actual like locations and renting out space and that stuff, that comes on the back end of the last one.
Yeah.
It's very weird. I definitely see them having to do R&D. They're going to do something insane if they keep doing things.
I mean, yeah, they're going to come up with another tribe that's
going to... what are batshit in the best way. But yeah, the other thing we'll talk about, like I mentioned, is, man, the press tour for this movie, fantastic, 10 out of 10. James Cameron's making me a fan. Fuck yeah.
One of my favorite Canadians at the moment.
I love that this man is just saying fuck Trump and no Gen AI. And fuck Gen AI. Yeah. Like, this man is doing it right.
He's saying all the things Griffin wants to hear.
Mm-hmm. Last thing I want to talk about here is, like, man, dude, the theater experience for this one of the worst theater experiences I've ever had in a movie.
Yeah, I don't love going to the movies alone, and this was a film I saw alone, and that's just always something that makes me kind of awkward. And
I go to movies alone all the time. My problem is that this is a movie that's bringing out a lot of people that don't go to movies.
Yeah.
And I could very much tell that with the people I'm sitting next to. Literally anytime anything negative would happen to any character of any potential danger for these characters, she would be there like, no. They have plot armor. and talking about the volume level that I am talking right now, which is not quiet.
My experience did not start off well, where I had someone in the row behind me narrating the Avengers Doomsday teaser.
So these two
Like
girls
reading
sitting next
the
to me.
lines that were on the screen. Like Steve, I don't know if we want to spoil that or not.
No, we'll leave it later.
But it's like when the words were on the screen, he was just saying it again like this, loud enough for the
So what I
whole
had
theater to hear him.
was these two girls mostly, but they were going through the plot of the second movie as the teaser was playing, and like I watched them be like the entire teaser plays out. You get that little end cap on the teaser, and that's when they started paying attention and started realizing. And that's what I knew. I was like, oh, I'm in for it in this movie. Literally anything bad would happen. And to their credit, the other friend was constantly trying to shush the other. It wasn't horrible, but it was just because they were sitting right next to me, and it was every single thing. Or it would be like, that's my guy, that's my girl. Like consistent yelling in a way of like, I see you, I see why you would do this. I get doing it for films when everybody else is doing it. Otherwise, it just kind of feels like etiquette from watching movies at home, which I think is this movie's going to bring out a lot of those people.
Yeah, it's honestly why I prefer going to an age-restricted theater, because I feel like at least you get adults, and the cost is significantly higher. So
these people were probably about my age.
Well, yes, but I think also as well, the format can matter. Like if you are spending more on the ticket, that will potentially weed out some of the more casual moviegoers that go to a movie once or twice a year to see films like this. So that's also something that can cut down on that. But again, not everyone's able to do that. I want to take a step back though and go back to talk about James Cameron for a second. You said the whole Gen AI thing and you're a fan of his. Can I ruin that for you for a second?
I mean, I hated this man before this podcast. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, yeah, sure. So he joined the board of a UK-based AI company best known for a text-to-image model.
Oh, God
so
damn it, James.
I'm hoping he's there to try and steer the ship in the right direction, but this is also a company that's had litigation from Getty Images over stolen IP.
I mean, that's what I was hoping about Larian too, and now look where we are at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
look, I appreciate that they're very clearly like this movie is made by artists, so they're letting the artists do their thing. I hope we see more of that. Because I think everybody should be. That's where everybody should be at.
Agreed.
But yeah, Avatar: Fire and Ash. It's out now.
It's a film.
Yeah. It's a film. It's available.
Would you recommend people go see it?
I would recommend you see this. I'm not sure I recommend seeing it in theaters.
Thing is, I think having only watched the first two movies and being lukewarm on them and then seeing this one in theaters, the only way I want to watch these movies going forward is in theaters.
I think this is a movie where it's like if you appreciate this kind of style for a world and whatnot, it's worth it. I cannot in good faith though recommend any film that's 3.5 hours long in a theater.
That is very fair.
Yeah, it's not even about this like the content of the movie itself. It is. Very frankly, this movie should have been 2 hours.
Or it needed intermission. I need to use the bathroom. I'm sorry, I'm old.
Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of moments where an intermission like would have very much fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't recommend something that's 3.5 hours without an intermission.
Hell, one of his best movies of all time, Titanic, came on 2 VHS tapes, and you literally built in an intermission to watch it at home. Mm-hmm. Actually,
honestly, I don't expect this movie to do poorly. I think this movie's going to do amazing. Go see it if you haven't. If you have listened to our full review with full spoilers and have not gotten to see this movie, we really got to move this portion to the front half of the episode.
Yeah, probably. Question, Griffin. How long was Avatar: Fire and Ash?
I think 3 through 5. I was thinking it was 3 hours and 35 minutes.
Yes. I just want to find the runtime there.
It is the longest of the Avatar movies.
I just need to do math, and I don't want to do it in my head. So
do the math, yeah. While I look up the proper runtime to make sure that I am correct.
Yeah, so it's 3 hours and change.
Oh, I was close. 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Yes. So the last time I can think where Disney had an intermission in something was the stage recording of Hamilton on Disney Plus. Right?
Yeah,
Made
because they
sense,
didn't
you
want to
know.
edit out
There's an
nothing.
act one, act two, you can use the bathroom. That was 2 hours and 41 minutes. And it had an intermission. I beg of you, James Cameron. I know it is disruptive to the movie going
Not even
experience
James
and people
Cameron,
get
Hollywood in general.
I'm okay 2.5 hours. I can survive. Anything over 3 needs an intermission built in. I'm sorry, my bladder can't do it.
That, or frankly,
Just
learn
make
to
it
edit
shorter.
shit out.
Yeah. If you
Leave stuff
want to
on the
make a
cutting room
three and a
floor.
half hour epic, split it into 2 films or put it on a streaming service, make it a series. I don't need this. Please. My bladder thanks you
I need to
for
look something up really quick.
revisiting this topic again and again and again and again.
I need to quickly look up how long the Odyssey is going to be.
Oh, it's going to be long.
Because I just had that realization. Odyssey 2026, which, by the way, they put out a poster for that movie recently. I don't know if you've seen it,
No.
but it goes so hard.
I don't know if they've said how long
Yeah,
it's
they
going
have,
to
I
be
don't
yet.
think they've said it yet.
I mean, I was very happy with the 6 minutes that I saw. Do you
Yeah,
want to talk about that at all before we wrap?
Nah, we can leave. We can talk about the Odyssey another time.
It's the Trojan horse scene, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, that's really
That's all. That's all. That's all you need from me. It was Trojan horse, and it was cool.
All right, we're going to wrap up this episode, folks. This has been a wild one. Thank you for listening as we've been going. Thank you for letting us deal with our technical issues. I will edit things together and make things sound good. So you have not been bugged at all. Of course, we will be back after the holidays with plenty more things to talk about. There's so much happening and so many things we still need to talk about that we haven't gotten around to yet, like
We'll get
Zootopia
back
2.
to it. Look, going to the theaters is hard.
Dude, I got you to the theaters for this one, and I was like, that's a win.
I don't even know why my wife said yes, and I love her
also,
for it. But
word of advice for anyone who's going to see this movie: don't go see this movie at 10 p.m.
no,
Do not go to
please
the
see it
last
in the middle
showing
of
of
the
this
afternoon.
movie. We've been dead all day.
So my drive to the theater in not traffic, but it was like what 9:30. I left the house, got there around 10, so it was about a half hour. It took me 17 minutes to get home because there was not a single car on the goddamn road.
Yeah, I went down.
It felt like driving home from the airport or driving to the airport because there's just nobody on the road at those ungodly hours.
Yeah, it was a thing for me where it's like I went down there because I saw this movie at Disney Springs, so I went down early. And when I left, they had security like force us out the back way.
Oh God.
Because everything was shut down at Disney Springs.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't go see this movie late. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Of course, we'll go watch our other things, watch all the fun jets, all the blah 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 blah. And of course, be good to each other and have a magical day.